home. Let me say that again. The taxpayers of Chautauqua County pay no money for the operation of the county home. 0%. This column says 0% local share to operate the county home. That's very clear. But the spin that we're getting is not what I just said. It is something else. We see our Jamestown legislator, Nazaro, who is the budget director of WCA Hospital, recently conjoined with Hammett of Erie, which is a very large provider of assisted living. He is the budget director for WCA Hospital. He is also a Jamestown legislator. He's the one that initiated eliminating any matching funds. And matching funds means that if we do allocate $1 to the county home, or $100,000, we will get back $2 from the federal government that will go into the fund that manages the county home. The county home, of course, has surplus and deficit like everything else. I think our snow removal department this year may have had a deficit last year, but this year I do believe they would have a surplus. This is what happens year to year, surplus deficit, and you have a savings to draw on. The county home has a savings. It's called its surplus fund. It's a reserve fund. Nazaro pushed to have the allocation eliminated. It was successful. There are 0 allocation for the county home. He is the budget director for WCA Hospital. The budget director for the county home was appointed by the county executive. She is the sister-in-law of the chief executive officer of the WCA Hospital. The county executive's sister, another person in our community, is the chairman of the board of WCA Hospital. So we have a number of individuals here, and Mr. Nazaro has a statement that he's very fond of using, and it is, what is the hidden agenda? My concern is that we are hearing that there is a cost to the people of Chautauqua County for the county home. There is 0 cost at this time during the 2012 period for the county home. Please look for yourself, and you will see that that is the truth. Thank you.
Thank you, Karen. I hope that they explore every possibility to keep the county home open, because the important thing to remember is most privately owned nursing homes do not provide for people who are indigent on Medicaid very much. The state makes them have a certain number of beds for Medicaid patients. But usually they're filled at all times, and you only get in when someone moves on to the great sky. Then there's a Medicaid bed open, and they may switch somebody who's on private pay in the hospital into that bed because they are unable to pay anymore. So it's virtually impossible to get into these Medicaid beds these days, excepting at the county home. 80% of the beds there are with Medicaid people. These are senior citizens who have lost all their money through health care problems or whatever, who are indigent, who can't pay for any care. But they can go to the county home as a last resort. And we're selling it, evidently. It looks like they're trying to sell it. And that'll be the end of the game. There won't be any place for people, indigent seniors, to go. All right, guys, we have a lot of things in the agenda. I have with us a special guest who's given up her Saturday morning to be here to open up, and she's on the phone anytime you want to call her. Marianne Spanos. Marianne Spanos is the head of the Office for the Aging for the county, and she is doing a wonderful job and getting cut back right and left and right and left. Her funds are being cut here and there and all over the place, but she still maintains a good service level. So I'm going to turn it over to Marianne and ask Marianne what's new. What's new? Marianne,
oh, there's lots new. Thank you.
Okay.
It's great to be here again.
It's good to have you. You know, you're the first Greek person I've ever had on this show, you know?
Greek by association. And that was a very nice wish you sent to us the other day via email. On the 25th of March is a very special day for the Greek people. It's also the Feast of the Annunciation, which is when Mary conceived Christ. And it was...
Incidentally, she was raped. You know that. She was underage. She was only,
Please.
She was only 16 years old.
Please, I'm Catholic and Orthodox.
A 16-year-old child out of New York State.
It was an immaculate conception. So, but in any case, it was also the day that the Greek people won their independence from Turkey, from the Ottomans. And so it's a very special day for the Greeks. And it's also, 9 months before Christmas. So
yeah,
it's
you
a
sent
very
me a
special
thank you
day.
too. What's thank you in Greek?
Ευχαριστώ.
Oh, there you go. I couldn't pronounce it. But
Well, I figured if you sent it to me in Greek, I should respond in Greek. But
and excuse my comments about the Virgin Mary, but in New York State, they're arresting kids all over the place for having an affair with a 16-year-old. That's some madness going on here, especially in the high school.
Well,
Romeo and Juliet.
people didn't live beyond 30 years of age.
It was a very different matter.
In ancient times.
Right, and you were considered an adult at the age of 14 by most public.
But I did want to tell you some really great things that have happened. I think people know that the state budget was passed the other day.
Right.
And I want to say thank you to all the seniors who spoke up, because I think you really made an impact in this budget. There was EPIC, which everybody has been complaining about.
Well, they did away with it.
No, it was actually restored.
Yeah,
$30 million.
Prior to that, they basically said, "Screw you! You don't get any more EPIC. Use your Social Security, your."
And I really felt it was going to go away. You know, in fact, I was out at the Sinclairville 76ers. I think it was last month, and they were asking me, "What's going to happen with EPIC?" And I said, "I think the reality is EPIC is going away."
Yeah.
I said, "But you have a lot of power, and you need to speak up." And obviously, you were heard. Everybody across the state who talked to their state senators and assemblymen, when I went to Albany a couple weeks ago, they heard you, and they put $30 million back in the budget for EPIC. And if you want to know what that specifically means to you, you can call our office, and we have the latest information.
Give your number, will you?
It's 753-4471 or 363-4471 or 661-7471.
Now everybody's totally confused.
Well, I think one of our friends will put up the Office for the Aging number, so you have it on the screen.
Maybe we could talk the engineers into doing that for you.
Yeah.
There you go.
There we go.
Maravali Dictu.
So, call our office, get in with one of our health insurance counselors, and they'll let you know all the latest about EPIC.
Yeah,
but that was
ladies and gentlemen, if you some may not be aware of EPIC, it's a health care program that provides for drugs, prescription drugs for seniors and indigent people and low people, but the income levels are pretty high, aren't they, on that?
I'm not,
it's an insurance program.
It's an insurance program, but many, many people in our county have it, and they had changed it considerably last year. It was only covering people who got into the donut hole. And so people were really wondering, was it worth it to get it? And now they've gone back to, they've restored most of it. So please call our counselors and find out what the changes are to the EPIC program. We also were going to be hurt significantly in the budget because of the 2010 census. And this may not make sense to anybody, but when you only have one pot of money, think of it as a pie. Okay, and when everybody grows in their population, if some people grow more than others, they get a bigger slice of the pie. And that's what happened with the 2010 census. Even though the number of seniors in our county and 39, I think all the counties in New York State, which is like 59 counties there are in New York State, all but one grew in their senior population. But because some counties grew more than others from 2000 to 2010 census, they were actually getting a bigger piece of the pie. So 39 counties were going to lose money because of the census. And the state legislature did add an additional $1.1 million so that we wouldn't see any reduction in our home care programs.
This is to Chautauqua County, right? Or to the whole state?
To the whole state. We were going to
million?
lose about $40,000 for those two programs. But, you know, we already have a wait list for our home care program, so that would have really hurt us a lot more.
Right, that's like a lot of the senior programs. They look good on paper, but they're all filled up. You can't get on.
Right.
You can't get the service.
Well, we're still advocating, so hopefully, and I have some great news. We were awarded a CMS grant.
Which is?
It's called Care Transitions, and it's to help people who are admitted to the hospital and then discharged to home to understand their discharge orders and prevent them from being readmitted. And that's going to be starting in May, so we're very, very excited about that.
Good. Well, Marianne, I congratulate you on doing the job, because I know they have cut some of your funding at all levels, I think.
Well,
federal,
you know, you're holding funding steady. Even that is a cut because our costs have gone up and we have a lot more seniors.
Yeah.
You know, in 2000 we had 28,000 seniors. We now have 30,500.
I believe we are the highest, correct me, the highest, and certainly the next to the highest county in the New York State of seniors in terms of percentage of seniors.
Well, we're one of the highest. We're at 23% seniors.
So almost 1 in 4 is a senior.
Right.
Now, what is a senior when you figure these figures?
60 and older.
60 and older, okay.
That's what the Older American Act deems is 60 and older. And many of our programs, though, we also serve caregivers of any age. You know, our senior employment program starts at 55.
Now, they cut some funding for that, didn't they?
They did. They did. Right now, we're very overspent in our budget for that, and so we've tried not to take people off the program. We just reduce the hours that they're working. So that makes it difficult for people because.
Yeah. Well, especially in this age of inflation, you mentioned you're getting being kept even, but inflation this year, according to all the statistics and all the pundits agree, is about 5%. So if you're not getting 5% back, you're not staying even.
Well, you know, just gas prices costs have gone up. Gas prices have gone up. Food
Tuna
costs
fish has gone up. Everything has gone up.
Everything, and so you know, our meal programs, you know, our home care programs, you know, all of the costs have gone up.
Taxes have gone up sharply. New York State had a 25% increase in taxes and funding. This year, we're not going to have any new taxes, but the fees are going to go up. You know, you have to have a driver's license, you have to have a registration, you have to go to parks and so forth. Well, when you go there, you get a surprise. It's jumped up considerably. No new taxes, just new fees. Marianne Spanos talking about the senior situation in this world that we live in, which is becoming well, at this point, it looks like we're being defunded all right and left, but let's hope.
There is some good news, and I wanted to tell you about some things coming up over the next 2 months that are very exciting. First of all, we're involved with the Chautauqua County Health Network on National Healthcare Decision Day. That's April 16th, and what that means is everybody over the age of 18 should have a healthcare proxy. And we're very lucky in this county that we have a healthcare proxy registry. You know, the healthcare proxy gives somebody permission to make healthcare decisions for you if you can't speak for yourself. That's the only time it comes into play. And if you wait until you have an accident and can't speak for yourself, it's too late. Or, you know, people who are becoming forgetful, you know, if you lose capacity because of dementia, it's very difficult. You then have to go to a court to have somebody appointed to make your healthcare decision. So it's good for anybody over the age of 18. When my son went off to war, I made him get a healthcare proxy. Even though the armed services would make his decisions while he was in the Army or the Marines, if he came back injured and could no longer speak for himself, I would have had to go to court to get permission to be his healthcare proxy.
Is that a tough job to get a judge to give you?
It's a very lengthy process. You have to actually get guardianship. And that is costly, and it takes time, and it takes doctors who have to deem the person unable to make their decisions. So a simple piece of paper takes minutes to fill out, and then we have this registry. It's an electronic registry. It's a secure server, and the neat thing about it is that all of our EMS All of our emergency room doctors and primary care physicians can have access just to view your proxy. So if you're in an accident and the EMS are taking you to the hospital, they can look up who your healthcare proxy is, contact them, and have them meet you at the hospital. This is unique to Chautauqua County, and we're very fortunate to have the Chautauqua County Health Network to put something like this in place. They review it every year. So, you know, if you have changes to your healthcare proxy, you can just let them know, or but they will notify you on an annual basis to